I'm Athena from Meticulous Ink, and today we're doing our last group number 4 of our lowercase letters. The first letter of our group 4 is V. So our lowercase v fits into the X height. So we're coming down and then up. Now there are a number of different ways to join up your V. So you can add a tiny loop, or you can just go straight across. So that will depend on the style that you prefer and on what letter you're joining into. I quite like a tiny loop. I think it looks very neat. So our next lowercase letter is lowercase w. So this is a lot curvier. So we're coming down. The middle stem just goes halfway up the X height, and then we're finishing with a tiny loop. So ideally what we want is to slightly close the top of our lowercase w. So you've got that nice curve to the edges. So our next letter is going to be lowercase r. So this is a more classic copperplate style lowercase r. So we're going to be starting low. We're coming up above the top X line, doing a loop, coming across to the right and then down. Now the tendency is to go up again after you've done the loop, which makes it really sharp and pointy and just looks quite unclear. So after you've done the loop, just try and go straight across to the right and then down, rather than making it too spiky. So we're coming up, doing that loop, across to the right and down. And you want to keep this nice and narrow as well. So our next letter is lowercase s. So for this one, we're coming up and across, looping above, and then doing a little swirl underneath. So we finish underneath where you start. Now if I was going to join up my lowercase s, I would finish my s and then do a separate stem to then join to your next letter. Or you can continue it on through, which is a slightly more contemporary look. However, I always think that this one looks much clearer, adding that separate stem, because then you've completed the S. It's nice and clear. But this is, a slightly faster and more contemporary way to finish. Our next letter is lowercase x. So this one, we've got 2 strokes. So we're starting with a downstroke and then we're doing an upstroke. So we're coming down and then up and across. Now this lowercase x, the downstroke is not parallel to the dotted lines. So we're coming quite parallel instead to the edge of your page, to the long side of your page for that downstroke. And then for the upstroke, if you start with a tiny bit of downstroke, then we're coming up and across nice and smoothly, and then finishing with a tiny bit of downstroke. So we're coming down, and then a tiny bit down, all the way up and across, and then a tiny bit down at the end. And depending on the word that you're writing, it can be quite nice to, with that upstroke, you can go outside of your X height. Our next letter is lowercase q. So this starts like a lowercase c, which you will have practiced already, of course, from our group 1 lettering. So it starts like a lowercase c. We carry on up, then all the way down into the D height area, and then we can add a flourish at the back. Now Q's don't get to come out very often, so I always think it's quite nice to add a nice bit of flourish when you can. Going down, back up, all the way down, and then we can add a nice big loop if you like as well. Our last lowercase letter in our final group, group 4, is lowercase z. So this sort of looks like a little 3 shape, so it's a calligraphy style Z. So we're in the X height, we're coming around, doing a little flat loop just above the lower X line, and then looping down to the D height area. It's a very satisfying, more elaborate lowercase z. There we go, that is our group 4 letters. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe because the capitals will be coming soon. Thanks very much for joining me.